You're listening to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is all about helping you grow your real estate investment portfolio and live the life you want to live. Come grow with us and join our community at thereiteclub.com. And now your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.
So if I could come at it from a little bit of a different approach, right? So now you guys taken, some time now, you taken your courses, you had some life occurrences where jobs that you had were secure, weren't there anymore, and now you're well into your real estate investing career. Has there been any point or points that through anywhere throughout the journey where maybe you guys are looking at each other and going, oh my God, why did we do this? Or maybe an obstacle that that was presented to you from a property, a tenant, an investor, a professional, anywhere along the way, and how did you deal with that objection or that obstacle, and overcome and essentially get better from it? Because that's ultimately the goal, is right, to learn from those mistakes. But maybe something that you can share that, we're talking rainbows and butterflies and everything's great and housing's going to go up, okay, but there is the day-to-day, and I see the board behind you, right, the to-do, doing, and done, and it's not just as easy as moving the Post-its across, right? Yeah. What are some of the obstacles or hurdles that you've had to overcome along the way that you can share with the community?
Probably some, we have had some, tenant issues. There was one day, I get a text on my phone and I look at my phone and it says, oh, hey, when I was moving out, I took some stuff out of the crawl space. It's soaking wet in there. There's a pipe off, right? And I'm reading this text and I'm like, calling as quick as I can. I'm like, well, what do you want? I don't know, this pipe come off and there's water coming out. So, but
it's kind of like a fountain.
It's kind of like a fountain, and my stuff's all wet. Like, that's your fault. Like, whoa, hold on. Like, so, of course you rush over there, and it was, an issue with the sump pump, and, we got it fixed, but it had been off for quite a while. The tenant stuff, had been on top of it, knocked the pipe off. There's quite a bit of water damage there, and you scratch your head and you call your insurance broker and say, hey, like, you start reviewing, your deductible, I forget if it's $2,500 or $5,000. Well, okay, I hope it's not that bad. So it's, called the restoration company, and, they came and they were just swamped. There was a heavy rainfall, and they said, we can't even get here for like a month, So it was like, okay, well, so I called, a friend of mine. We came in and, we had to clean it up, and we were able to do it only for, it was a couple $1,000s, but, stuff like that makes you think sometimes, like, man, you have a couple of good months and then you get this, $2,000 bill or $2,200 bill, like, that wipes out, a good portion of that positive cash flow that you had. So, we always build in a maintenance budget, but, a project like that takes, a good portion of your maintenance budget.
I think in a different roadblock that we encountered was when after the fourplex, we bought single family dwellings, because there was a big niche that we found in that, and the rents were extremely good in it. And because we weren't incorporated at that time, so we had our home, our primary residence, we had the fourplex, and then we had two other single family dwellings. So we had 4 mortgages going. And we were at the point and we hadn't incorporated. So it's like, oh God, like, what, we need to do something. But our mortgage agent at the time said, you're tapped out. Your ratios don't make sense. You're tapped out. There's nothing we can do. And that's where we both looked at each other and said, no, there's got to be something. There's got to be a way. Incorporation is going to take a little bit of time, but there's got to be something in the meantime that's before we can start moving properties over, which in hindsight, we should have really done earlier in the game. And then in the network that we developed with Mel and Dave again, Mike started reaching out to people and saying, hey, are there solutions? And sure enough, there was different mortgage people and said, hey, no, we can do this, this, and this. You're still okay.
Yeah.
Go if you want to buy.
Yeah. And the mortgage broker we had specialized in just residential, people buying a family home, where when we got in touch with a, mortgage broker specialized in, rental properties, I have companies that'll accept 80% of your rental income versus a traditional bank that might only take 50%. So that opened up our eyes to. Yeah.
Well, it's just like you were saying at the beginning when you worked with a real estate agent who understood the rental market. And just like with mortgage brokers, right? You need mortgage brokers who understand what it is to work with investors, because there's a transactional mortgage agent or broker who just works with people who want to buy one or two properties. And then there's the people who actually work with investors, and they get it, right? They get it.
We call them REITE partners.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what would you say, if you had to give one piece of advice to people starting out, what would that one thing be? I know it's a broad question, but what would it be? What would you say? So just starting out, who's just thinking about doing it.
Make the right connections. Find a mentor, find somebody who's actually doing it and who is currently doing it. Learn from somebody who started out, they can progress you so much further ahead. So.
And I think don't quit making excuses, and don't be afraid to take that risk. I mean, obviously the calculated risk that makes sense, but don't be afraid, because, time and time again, people are like, oh, I wish I could, be like you guys and buy properties, but we just don't have time, or we don't have this, and we don't have this. Like, we had the excuses too. We overcame them. And now it's like, why didn't we do this years and years and years ago? So it's stop with the excuses, just, take action now, right?
I love that. Love that. Great comment. Because I think we're so good at visualizing all the things that could go wrong, and all the things, the negative things and the impacts. And like you said, oh, it's Detroit and it's going to suck my money and all those excuses. So, there's a question that, I've been asking to, a bunch of people lately, but if there was somebody, whether it's in your area or remotely, and with technology, it's a lot easier, but that's someone that's brand new and maybe listening to this podcast, getting into real estate investing, it's their first foray into it. And they called you and said, hey, you know what? I really like what you're learning. Can I help you somehow? Can I bring value to you somehow? And in exchange, can I learn from you? Is that something that you guys would be open to?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, yesterday we spent about an hour and a half. It was actually my cousin. She lives out in Vancouver. Actually, she lives in Victoria on the island, out in BC. And, she's looking at buying an income property, like a duplex, because her one daughter is paying like $3,500 a month rent for like a tiny little place. And she said, if the two of them can buy a property together, she said, with the rent that they're paying, she was, I could help save her a whole bunch of money. She can contribute to the mortgage. I can contribute to the mortgage, and it can be a retirement piece for her. And, we spent a lot of time on the phone, and I've had so many people in the group help me out that I just, love returning the favors. And so it's a real win-win, right? When you can help somebody else out, and, I've been helped out, by quite a bit of people. I think, and it makes you feel good in the end that you help somebody succeed. And I think that's a good feeling in the end as well. And like I said, if there were people out there when we were going through it that, offered the help, we would have jumped at it too. And I quite enjoy talking about it. And if we didn't, we wouldn't be in the situation and doing what we're doing. Yeah. But helping others and making people succeed around you as well is just a great feeling. Yeah. And we're always open to, joint ventures. Everything we've done so far hasn't been a joint venture, but that's something that we might eventually explore. And then also, if somebody wanted to, invest with us, we'd be willing to, show them the process, show them how it works in return, as well as, pay them a fair interest rate.
Thanks for listening to the REITE Club podcast and joining our community of real estate investors online at thereiteclub.com, where the focus is about helping you grow. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks from your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.